It's time for a little comedy, a little content, and a lot of conversation. It's the Geno Jones Show, exclusively right here on YouTube. And now here's your host, Geno Jones.
Hello, what's happening, everybody? It's showtime. I know, a little tardy, a little late, a little CP time, a little technical difficulty, so I apologize, but I'm here now. It is time for the Geno Jones Daily Variety Show. Monday through Friday, normally 6:30 p.m. Eastern, 5:30 p.m. in Chicago, 3:30 p.m. on the West Coast. Like I said, we're coming to you just a little late, just a little tardy, a little CP time. So I'm a punctual person, so I just want to apologize. There were some technical difficulties that I had to troubleshoot. So, as a matter of fact, today my guest, a returning contributor to the Geno Jones Show, Tanel Jones. She is a licensed family and marriage therapist, an addiction counselor, and just an expert when it comes to issues relating to mental health. All right, so let's get the show started. You never get a second chance to make a first impression. Let me say that again. You never get a second chance to make a first impression. Be the best version of yourself. One of my pearls of wisdom that I share, I'm a motivational speaker. And I always tell everybody, including myself, nobody can beat you being the best version of yourself. You can't beat someone trying to be who they are, but nobody can beat you being the best version of yourself. Now, I say that there's been a lot of talk in the media. Comedian Monique apparently posted a video on Instagram talking about, I guess she saw several young ladies. She was traveling, I believe. I think she was in Hartsfield Airport in Atlanta, maybe going to Mississippi. She was traveling someplace, and apparently she saw, and she addressed black women, being a black woman herself, feeling some kind of way, seeing black women in bonnets, and in pajamas and like house slippers or house shoes, as we would call them in the airport, which is, wow. So, the comments, the feedback she's gotten has been interesting. A lot of people, they get it, but a lot of people accuse her, especially some of the younger millennials and Generation Z, they are saying that she's engaging in black respectability politics, and you're policing what black women wear and what they look like, and you shouldn't have to conform to white people and to make them to somehow dress and appear in public to fit some Eurocentric white supremacist standard, the way we as black people should look. All right. Take a deep breath. I'm just going to say this again. You never get a second chance to make a first impression. When you go out to a nightclub, you're not going to a nightclub, with house shoes and a shower cap or a bonnet on, or, even if a fella's trying to wear a do-rag, or if he wants to be sagging. Like most clubs, you can't get in. They won't let you in. Certain restaurants, you just can't go in dressed any kind of way. You can't just go in. You can't go into many restaurants with your pajamas on and your house shoes. Now, listen, I get it. Because here's my thing. I don't dress to impress anybody. I dress based on how I feel. And some days I may, quote unquote, dress up somewhat, because I want to feel, maybe I'm feeling real good about myself and what I'm wearing reflects that. Or maybe my mood is not the best and I want to go ahead. I want to put something on that will energize me. And I know the clothes don't make the man makes the clothes. But the clothes are a part of who the man or woman can be. So you don't do it for anyone else. You do it for yourself. But just keep in mind, you go into certain job interviews. Look, I can't go on a job interview, with a bandana on my head, or with a little skull cap, a little do-rag, and some pajamas. I'm not going to do that. So just keep in mind that you never get a second chance to make a first impression, and you should always, not for anybody else, not for any racist white person, and not trying to live up to some Eurocentric standard, not trying to appeal or dress sexy or dress by a standard that you feel a man should want to see you in, you do you. But whatever you do, that's you. You should be the best version of yourself. Not for anyone else, but you. Because you never know who's watching you. Never get a second chance to make a first impression. Second of all, mental illness is not a movie. It's not what you see in the movies. It's not Jack Nicholson in The Shining and, or Kathy Bates in, I forgot that movie she's in. It's not like a scene out of the movie Get Out. Mental illness can be very deceiving. It can be very tricky. And people who are dealing with mental illness, they look and sound fine in many cases. And you never know what a person is dealing with. So I'm going to cut to the chase. Now I want to bring on my guest. Now the reason what really prompted me to have this conversation, it's been a lot of talk about tennis superstar Naomi Osaka, young sister doing her thing. She's ranked number 2 in the world. So she went to Paris to play in the French Open at Roland Garros. And basically she said up front, listen, I'm dealing with some depression. She also deals with social anxiety disorder. And my guest will explain all that to you. And I'm just not going to do the press because a lot of times the press will bring me down, just answering these conversations, the same questions over and over. And if I have a bad match, I'm not in a good mental space. So I'm not going to, listen, I'm not doing your press conference, French Open and Roland Garros. I'm just telling you. So they said, well, listen, we're going to fine you $15,000 for every match that you don't do press. So she said, okay, I tell you what, I'm gonna raise your $15,000 fine per match. And then the $1 to $2 million purse that she would have gotten had she won the French Open. You can hold on to all that because I want to hold on to my mental health and my sanity and my peace of mind. And I commend this young lady for her strength. A lot of people supported her. Venus and Serena Williams, as a matter of fact, Venus had a really funny quote, and I want to just paraphrase. She's like, well, now how I deal with it is because I know any and everybody asking me a question cannot beat me playing tennis. So I don't really care what you think. She said, but that is me. Now, Serena did support Naomi Osaka. Naomi's beaten her twice. As a matter of fact, Naomi says she's been dealing with bouts of depression since she beat Serena in the 2018 U.S. Open here not here, I'm not in New York, I'm in the Carolinas, but here in America. So she supported her, even though there was one line in there, and we'll talk about it, or I'll talk about it with my guest. I thought it was a little shade. She said, I'm thick. Some people are thin. But then she went on to say, listen, I support her. I'm paraphrasing. I support her, and she needs to do whatever she needs to do, for her own mental health and which was good. But just, a little competitive shit. Was it me? A little competitive shade? Like, well, I'm thick. Serena, we know you're thick. Congratulations. Serena won her match at the French Open today, just by the way. I'm still a huge fan of Serena. But nobody, including myself, nobody is above reproach. None of us are above criticism. No matter who you are. You'll get it. You'll get this smoke. And I'll get it too. Trust me. And I got a family. I got a mother that's watching me. If I get out of line, trust me, I will get the smoke as soon as the show is over. But let me bring on my guest, ladies and gentlemen. I want to thank her. She is a regular contributor to the Geno Jones Show. Like I said, every time I have this guest on my show, I am calmer and smarter. You've seen her if you are a regular of the show. If you're new to the show, she is a licensed family and marriage therapist and an addiction counselor. She is the board chair on the board of directors for the People Against Rape. That's PAR. That's the acronym PAR. She counseled survivors and the community right here in Charleston, South Carolina, the metro, after the massacre, the Mother Emanuel Church massacre. She is currently working with the Medical University of South Carolina. My guest, you see her on camera, Miss Tanel Jones. No relations. Not that we got to do like the African ancestry DNA something, because we could be related, cuz. Can you hear me?
B.
There you go. There you go.
Good evening. Yes, can you hear me?
I can hear you great. Thank you once again, Tanel, for joining me. So listen, I'll just kind of let you pick up on what we were talking about Naomi. And so the theme of today's show is mental illness is not like in the movies. I think that our society, not just our society, I think that just all of society, no matter what culture, what country, I think that because people are not really educated about mental illness, and especially in our community, there's been shaming for way too long, and a certain stereotypical image. Like I said, it's not Jack Nicholson in the movie Shining or Kathy Bates, and I guess it was Motel, and the scene, somebody in some white straitjacket and eyes bulging. It's like that's the Hollywood stereotype, and we got to get away from that and get away from how we've shamed each other to where it's like a sign of weakness if you seek out help. As a matter of fact, it's a sign of strength, and it's a sign of that, well, you know what? I'm sane enough to realize that I'm having some issues. If you have a stomach ache, if you have severe headache, if you're having certain pains, if there's something wrong with you, if you're coughing up blood, you go to a doctor. All right, if you're having chest pains or whatever, you would go to a doctor. So if there's some issues that you're dealing with mentally, why would you not go to a doctor? So I'm done with my monologue and I'm off my soapbox. Tanel, you are the professional. I'll just let you speak to that in the context of what Naomi Osaka did, because I'm really proud of the young lady. I thought for me, I think it takes a lot of courage. First of all, she's only 23. She came from a modest background. Her parents were not rich. So she goes from a modest background. She worked hard. Basically, she's been like a tennis prodigy since her teens, and that's really been the focus of her life. Just training and developing her skills to be the number 2 player in the world. But she's been very honest and open. Like I said, she talked about how since she won the U.S. Open in 2018, she's been having bouts of depression. She talks about her social anxiety and how before matches, you'll see her with earbuds on because she said that helps her deal with her social anxiety. When she has to talk to the media, she says her anxiety level just really just gets crazy. So just speak to that, Tanel.
So I guess you want me to maybe talk a little bit about there are different intensities and levels to
Yeah, well, I should narrow down for you. I just like I wanted to take this opportunity because now there's a lot of focus on mental health and mental illness because of Naomi Osaka, and A, because she's so well known, B, that she's been so honest and authentic in just talking about what she's been dealing with her bouts of depression and social anxiety, and how we can use that to educate people and to kind of get rid of the shaming, especially in our community. I think his signal froze. There you go. Your shot froze up. You're good
okay.
now. Mm-hmm.
I missed. Yeah, you're. Didn't miss. I missed what you wanted me to cover.
All right, there we go.
Really bad.
Yeah, I know. It just, like I said, the enemy's always busy, but we're gonna push through it anyway. So basically, I was just saying, I just wanted to take this opportunity and use the story about Naomi Osaka because it's in the news. Everybody's talking about it in the barber shops and hair salons and water coolers, and use it as a chance to educate the public and to get rid of the shaming, especially in our community when we deal with and talk about mental illness, and just kind of dispel the Hollywood myth, like I talked about in the open, It seems for me, it just seems like there's a certain Hollywood stereotype that society tends to look at people, when they mention that they're dealing with some type of mental illness or mental health issues.
Yeah, I think Hollywood. I mean, I guess there are several movies that I could say they do a really good job of pointing it out. Even for kids in terms of like there's one Disney animation that I always recommend to families, especially for their children, called Inside Out. It really talks about the benefit of emotions and the reasons we have them and what do you do, what happens when you start to shut them out, you start to have some of these other things happening. So again, like with life, there's a spectrum.
Yeah, good
um,
point.
and I think that's the same with mental health or
Yeah.
mental illnesses. There's a spectrum of things that people could experience. So we have like even depression. There's mild, moderate, severe, and very severe levels of depression. Um, Anxiety. There's different types of and forms of anxiety. So I think again, I'm not sure what her actual diagnosis is, but I think she mentioned having social anxiety,
Disorder.
which is very
Yeah.
specific. And some people have specific phobias, so that's a form of mental health difficulties. Anything that you're feeling that's impacting your overall functioning in your life in areas, whether it's the way that you engage socially, professionally, within your family, within your community. Um, the impact that you have to the way that you care for yourself, that can be anything. So yeah, there's no set definition of what mental health looks like or how you're supposed to react or respond. There are several different myths, and I mean, I'm really excited that the conversation continues to, especially since we just ended Mental Health Awareness Month, the conversation continues to be get checked. It's okay to go get a checkup, just like you go get a annual checkup for your health. It's okay to go, maybe once a year to talk to somebody or just to see how things are going. Because again, sometimes we become conditioned to believe that this is the norm or this is okay, and when it's really, really difficult.
And Tanel, can I just jump in here because I want to kind of piggyback to something that I think you alluded to, because I've heard this comment with Naomi Osaka. One is like, well, the other tennis players are playing and they had to deal with this, and Venus and Serena, they had to deal with horrible racism and the press treating them bad, which is true. And two, the second narrative that I've heard is, well, she should be stronger. She looks fine. She's this great tennis player, and physically she's strong and number 2 in the world. And they see her dominating on the tennis court, and somehow that's supposed to make her impervious to having to deal with some type of mental health issues. Could you speak to that?
Uh, I
Because
really,
just because she's
to kind of be.
I was just saying, because just because she's great physically as an athlete, I don't know why somehow people think that she is supposed to be impervious of maybe having to deal with the conditions that she's been very open about in terms of her social anxiety disorder and depression. That she's not the only athlete. There was a football player you may know of. He's no longer playing in the NFL. A guy named Ricky Williams. He said he was diagnosed as social anxiety disorder. He had it to the point to where when he did a press conference after a game, it had got to a point to where he would sit at the press conference, Tanil, with his football helmet on that had a black visor attached to it. And there's been an NBA player, Kevin Love, who's been very open recently in the last couple of years, and he talked about how he had been dealing with depression and how it even affected his play from time to time. So it's just that when I hear people just say it, this is just my take, this is my opinion, this is not a professional assessment. Just some dumbass, commented about, well, what's wrong with him? What's wrong with it? How can you, this big strong athlete, you're not supposed to, be succumb to something like that. It's just irritating. So you, the professional, I'll just let you address that.
Yeah, I think it's really interesting that people look to entertainers, athletes to be their maybe role models, or maybe kind of figure because money solves everything or fame. Um, I think that's unfortunately there's just a high level of expectation placed on individuals who
Yeah.
are involved in entertainment and to entertain and not have us have to watch their, as people say, like, I just want them to talk to the media without being considerate. So, um, social anxiety, I mean, I don't social anxiety has nothing to do with whether you can play tennis or not.
Thank you.
It's a form of anxiety that really gets people very uncomfortable in social situations where they don't want to be vulnerable, they don't want to be humiliated, and so they're really focused and concerned about that. And so but there's other, components to it, but it has nothing to do with what you can do. Mental health has nothing to do with what you can do. There are genetic factors, there are life factors, there are certain ways that you currently manage stress that can contribute to mental health. The way that you take care of yourself, whether you're getting enough rest, right? If you want to be one of those people who stay up days and not get enough rest, that can impact your mental health. If you're choosing not to eat or hydrate yourself, that can impact your mental health. If you're exposing yourself
Really?
to a
Wow.
bunch of negativity and, like we talked about before, images of trauma and negativity, that can impact your mental health. So if you experience loss and you don't deal with it, then you can have some significant amount of grief and depression. So I think, right, this conversation is just maybe just stop having an expectation that because somebody is doing something or they have a certain amount of money that they're supposed to be okay. And I think for me, this whole topic of everybody wondering what's going on with her is just maybe this is just a time to check in with yourself. I think we spend a lot of time focusing on other people,
Say
and
that again.
maybe just just take the time to say, hey, this might help me like check into what I'm experiencing. So
Tell the
so
truth,
yeah,
shame
just
the devil. Come on. Hey, listen, tell it like it TI is. You're right. They say when you point a finger at somebody, you got three fingers pointing back at yourself. So be very careful about pointing fingers and judging everybody so quickly, right?
yeah. I mean, I think even this whole I don't the people being thicker, thinner, whatever that means, it's again based off of uh, I think it's just based off of some of that is like could be to say, hey, I cope. This is my way of coping, which is perfectly okay. And then other people have other ways of coping. And I think what this young lady did was very healthy and brave. And I encourage a lot of other people to do the same and say, you know what, this is not something that I really want to do. And I know I was reading that people saying, well, it's in her contract. I saw comments, well, it's in her
Yeah.
contract. She signed the contract. Some of you are working at jobs, doing things that you don't want to do, and you are really stressed about it. And so maybe just because it's written in your job description, maybe it's time to think about, is this job what I really want to do? Because it's impacting me. I'm stressed about it. I'm not happy. I'm not joyful. So I really commend her for taking that stand and saying, money is not everything. And mental health is more important. And I choose, because we all have choices that I think we forget that nothing is demanded of us. We choose to do what we want to do. And so she chose to, take care of herself in that moment.
Right.
And then I think if tennis is a very, in my opinion, isolating sport.
It
So
is.
it's
Yes.
not like she's, like playing soccer. And I'm not soccer players don't have social anxiety. It's just I guess people are acting surprised, and I'm not really sure the reasons behind that. But again, I think your message, is just, hey, let's just take this opportunity to do a self check. It's okay to go reach out to somebody, get a couple of assessments yourself. Just if you go get an annual. I think now the doctor's offices are asking a little bit about depression, so I think that's good. They're asking, if you're in a situation where you feel unsafe, so I think that's good. Um, so yeah, I think we need to continue to do more of that.
It's funny you mentioned that, Tanel, because actually, I guess that's a sign that I have a great doctor, which I've known this for years. That's why I've been going to my primary care doctor for like 15 years now. But I noticed for several years now, every year, and I get my annual physical after, we go over the blood work and, everything else. He checks everything else out. One of the last things that he does is he asks me a battery of questions, just like you did about, are you stressed about this? And I'm very open with him, and that's helped our bond because I know I can trust him. Just the stresses of work or, family, worrying about, family members or your children or whatever. And he's been very thorough. And he basically, like I said, series of questions that you mentioned, is almost like a checklist. He'll go down and, how have you been sleeping? How have you been eating? Now, what I didn't know, you mentioned something about how hydration can affect our mental health. Now, that I honestly did not know. I know he says leave the Mountain Dew alone. the caffeine and the sugar is like the worst thing. You talking about anxiety or anything could happen. Speed up your heart rate. It's like, and because sleep is so important, and I'm sure there's a connection, and you could speak to that. I'm assuming that there's a connection between our sleep health. I don't know what the correct clinical or medical term, but just in terms of our sleep habits, or just because you mentioned it, you're like, if you don't get enough sleep, some folks think that, all I need is 2 hours sleep a night. Well, okay, I guarantee you that's going to catch up with you behind if you keep doing that. But this hydration, I didn't know that there's a connection between hydration and mental health. Educate us. Tell me, drill down on that.
Yeah, I mean, drinking water, water is very healthy. So if you're not hydrated, again, if you're not taking care of your basic biological needs of, food, oxygen, water, we've talked about before, even the way you breathe, if you're not breathing in a way that's calming and soothing, then you're in a constant state of arousal, and so then it's hard for you to the internal state is constantly amped up. Yes. So take care of your basic needs. And again, I just want to emphasize, and I really think that it's good that you are talking about this. Don't compare what you're going through with someone else. Just compare yourself with yourself. So maybe last year you were feeling this way, and then now kind of post pandemic, you're really feeling, different, like low mood, depressed, or, like feeling like you can't do anything, or just really sleepy, really fatigued, low motivation, then maybe that's an sign that you should go reach out, check, a whole checkup to see if everything's going okay. So yeah, I think the message is maybe not compare yourself to what other people are going and say, well, I don't do that, or I'm not talking to myself, so I know I'm not, which I don't like the C word, the crazy word, so I know I'm not crazy. But just say, I know I'm not at my best self, and I really want to be my best self, so maybe I should go talk to somebody about how to make that happen. And that's okay if you do that. There's never any shame in that.
Thank you for saying that, because and I'm not going to just limit that to our culture, because it's not, because I've seen European cultures, no matter what ethnicity you are, talking about, oh, that person's crazy. But I know, in our community, we've heard that, we've even used that word, like you said, well, I know I'm not crazy, but words are powerful. And so we should be very more judicious and very careful about the words that we speak, which leads me to the last question I want to ask you, unless there's something else that you feel we left out that needs to be addressed. And it's kind of going back to where I began in terms of, as a community and as a culture, because obviously our trauma, we just, Monday and Tuesday marked the 100 years since the 1921 Tulsa race massacre. So we are still dealing, and we still see the killings of unarmed black men, women, and children. So there's a lot of trauma, there's a lot of PTSD that many of us are dealing with just on that level, not to mention the pandemic. But what can we do as a culture and as a community to stop the shaming that we have done for too many years, shaming people when they are dealing with something, and we don't encourage that's why I'm so grateful that you are a part of this team and this family, because what can we do as a culture and a community to to support and say, hey, listen, if you're not feeling okay, listen, you have somebody to talk to. I got a number. Maybe we can get a referral. For too many years, Tanel, and you know this better than I do, we haven't encouraged that. We've done just the opposite to where, oh, that person, they crazy. We almost shun the person and give them like the Heisman stiff arm instead of embracing them and maybe trying to help them get some help. So what should we be doing better as a culture and as a community to reverse this shaming that is going on for too many years?
I think again, just having these spaces where people, again, getting more involved in Mental Health Awareness Month, really talking about it. I do know there are a lot of entertainers who, Taraji P. Henson does a really good job of sharing, her own experience with mental health and mental illness. So just again, talking about what you're experiencing with other people. And if you're gonna ask somebody how they're doing and you can tell that they're not okay, maybe not accept their response if they say I'm okay. Just say, hey, well, are you sure? Because I noticed maybe last month you were doing this and this month you're doing that. And just I'm here. So if you're gonna be a friend, be a friend. If you're gonna be supportive, be supportive. Um,
Don't
and
be
maybe just ask
judgmental.
how can,
I'm
yeah.
sorry. Don't be judgmental and throwing shade. That's not being a
Right.
friend.
Yeah, that's not helpful. Because again, most people are impacted by life in itself, especially people, who struggle with having pain and so it's just be if you're going to be a friend, just be a friend, talk about it, encourage people to get help, just as you would, if they were having a physical illness as well or a physical ailment, you would probably say, hey, why don't you go see a physician? And even though I know it, even in our culture, which is probably a whole nother topic, I know we don't go to the doctor like we should anyway in general for health issues. But so when you go get your annual checkup, just maybe talk to your doctor about or go get a mental health checkup as well. I think it's perfectly okay to do that.
And so would you recommend doing just like we do an annual? That makes sense, and I
Yeah.
never thought about it because, like I said, my primary care doctor is really good about every year. He will go down to ask me, hey, how am I really doing? How things at the job? How things, personally? Because he knows,
Yeah.
he knows about my mother. He's never met her, but he knows that my mom has health challenges, and he knows that, she's a huge part of my life, and I'm always focused and trying to center her needs and make sure that she's okay, and the relationship with my daughters and with the Damaris and everything. So it sounds like maybe we should, when we schedule our that annual, as we call it, that annual physical, that we need to schedule an annual mental checkup.
Yeah.
That sounds
I
like
think
that's a
it's
good idea.
helpful.
Yeah. Never thought about that. It's amazing because I've never heard anybody or seen anybody on camera even suggest that. And I think it's a great idea, which is and my God, with this, like it's the last year and a half, we probably should be going once a month, once a week for some of us.
And I think there's a resource. So even if you don't, I think you can go on NAMI, which is the National Alliance on Mental Illness website. I don't have the exact website listed, but you can do a Google search. They have, sometimes I think they have on there where you can like read about different things. And so you might say, oh yeah, I'm recognizing that within myself. Maybe that then will prompt you to reach out to talk to a counselor or a therapist or a psychologist or psychiatrist, whomever. So yeah, go on the National Alliance of Mental Illness website. They have lots of information about a lot of different diagnoses, disorders, and just mental health in general. So I would encourage you all to visit that website.
So schedule your annual mental health checkup, get some sleep, and drink some water.
Yes.
Janelle, every
And
time.
exercise. Physical activity is so like, even if you're not trying to do it for weight loss, but if you are moving and getting your heart rate up, that helps alleviate and minimize stress and all the other mental health conditions is very, very helpful.
Well, you'll be proud of me. I haven't renewed the membership yet, but I will. But over the weekend, I got about over 8, 9, let me see, 5. I got at least 9 miles of cardio.
Good.
Walking in.
Cool.
All right, I did it, and I practiced my breathing, even like, Because sometimes, I wake up like in the middle of the night, just, if I got a lot of stuff on my mind, you worried about, family bills or whatever, your business. And I literally have like been in the bed. I remember what you taught me, my breathing. Blow it out real slow. I've been very good. I've done it while I was walking, exercising. I've done it in the bed. I've done it just, I've just done it randomly throughout the day. So I've taken your advice, and it works. So
Well,
listen to
now we
this
need to
one.
talk about sleep hygiene. So you can minimize waking up in the middle of the night with stuff on your mind. That's another session.
Well, I mean, short of, and I'm speaking my, 500 million into existence real soon. But that or lottery ticket, that might be the quickest way to
It will
improve. You
not.
said that won't improve it? I'm
It
glad you
will
told me
not.
that,
No,
Tanel.
I
I'm
tell
glad.
people, listen, I have clients with all from all types of socioeconomic status. Money does not change your mental health. It does not.
I'm glad you said it. But okay, so here before you go, I'm glad because I'm having fun with this, but there's truth to every joke because I think a lot of us do. We worry about bills, finances. We got you got kids. Getting ready to go to college or in college, you're worried about tuition, or you're trying to move into a different neighborhood, or like a lot of it is job related. You go into a job, the minute that you hit that threshold, you can feel the anxiety. It's like plugging into an AC outlet, or you see like your boss's face and that anxiety, or people get depressed, and it does affect your sleep. So what do you do? Just simply, if you find yourself, you wake up, and not every, even if it's not every night, just once a week, once every 2 weeks, whatever the rate is. When you find yourself in that situation, is there something preventative to do, or when you're in the middle of it, what should we do?
Yeah, so just a couple of tips is if you are having difficulty sleeping or you waking up in the middle of the night, one, I tell people and you're taught, don't stay in the bed. You want to get out of the bed, maybe do something really boring, nothing that's going to kind of excite you for a little bit until you get sleeping and get back in the bed. You want to have a set go bedtime routine. Like if you go to bed at a certain time, make sure you wake up the same time every day. And then other things, if you go to your bed, only I tell people your bed should only be used for sex and sleep. So no eating in your bed, no watching TV in your bed, because all those can impact the way your sleeping habits. So no playing on your phone in bed. So there are a lot of different sleep hygiene techniques that can be done. If you typically have a lot on your mind, early evening time, journal and write down some of the things that's in your mind to get them out of your head so you don't go to bed with them on your head and then maybe even looking at them and say, can I solve this tonight during while I'm sleeping? Probably not. So I'll just save it for the next day with some of the things that you're worried about because you can't waking up in the middle of the night and sitting up thinking about it, you're probably not going to solve it anyway. So, but that's a really good thing. If you need to get like in a sleep routine, use things to help you relax, whether it's again, making sure your room temperature is cool enough for you to get some rest, changing the lighting in your room. So those are just a few tips for you all. But
So
sleep is very important.
it is. I know you give me an honest answer about this. Melatonin, they're not a sponsor on the show, but just from a professional standpoint, I know some people, I've even tried it on occasion, and it seems that it does help somewhat. Or is that just really kind of masking a different problem and we should deal with it differently? What would you recommend to someone?
I always tell people do things behaviorally first for at least, to see if it shifts anything
Okay.
for you, and then maybe talk. I want to say talk with your physician because I know sometimes some medications may interact with vitamins and supplements.
Right.
But I do know people who take melatonin, but I also know some of them who take melatonin, they're like really groggy and tired.
Yeah.
So it just depends on, again, the individual, but definitely talk with your physician about it if you're interested. But before that, there's a lot of behavioral things you can do to help improve your sleep. But if you really feel like it's impacting you, go talk to your doctor and have a sleep study done. Some people have sleep apnea,
Really? Wow.
sleep
Okay.
insomnia or hypersomnia, or I actually have narcolepsy, so which is a sleep disorder. Gino's making a face like, what is
No, no,
that?
no. Because I want, if you don't mind, because I've heard about that, but I don't want to succumb to the Hollywood stereotype. So just
Yeah, I won't like just pass out as we're talking right now. So I
okay.
was diagnosed because I had a sleep study and then an MLST study done. And narcolepsy is, so I have, so typically like when I wake up in the morning, I can go right back to sleep, and I think it's about how quickly you get into your REM cycle sleep. As the day goes on, I can fall asleep in 1 minute and then I'm in REM cycle sleep. So
Really?
that's, I
Wow.
think, one of the ways that they diagnose, yeah,
Wow.
narcolepsy. Sometimes, and they have it where it's called with cataplexy, where you have I think it's like the muscle weakness. And so, yeah, so their sleep disorders are very common, which also can be associated with anxiety, right? So, again, if you're not sleeping well, talk to your doctor about that. And if there are some things that and maybe talking to, there are therapists who work with people with sleep and anxiety disorders to help them manage their sleep. So again, ask for help. Don't just try to push through it. That's not always the best way to go.
Janelle, I am always calmer and smarter and now healthier every time I have you on the show. I can't
I
thank you
thank
enough.
you.
For those who would like to listen, Tanel has dispensed and given some priceless. I mean, you can't even put a price tag on this information that she's blessed us with. But if what she's talked about and she's described, if that sounds like you need to reach out to somebody like Tanel. So Tanel, if you want to give everybody your contact information if they want to reach out to you to get some help.
Yeah, you can always send me an email at TENELLEOJONESLLC@outlook.com, or you can call or text me at 843-364-7798.
Give me that number again.
843-364-7798.
Oh my God, you're gonna have too many new clients. You're gonna be like, Geno, no, I got too many. I can't take any more. You'll be referring them, send them into other people. But that could be a good problem from a business standpoint. That could be a good problem. Thank you, Tanel. Love and respect. You are such a
Thank you.
huge asset,
Thank you.
and to the show, your contributions are really, we try to smile and it can be a heavy topic, but I try to interject humor and just make it relatable and use myself as an example because I'm human and hey, like I deal with everything that everybody else, family, you got your business, careers, things that, we all, and we lived through, thank the good Lord, there's almost 600,000 people that didn't get to live through this pandemic. So, we got to live through it, but I think it's left its scars. This pandemic has left physical, mental, emotional scars. I don't think any of us, Tanel, you correct me, your opinion may be different. I don't think any of us have escaped this completely unscathed. I think we have scars and marks that some of us probably either don't know or don't even acknowledge or don't even know what we're dealing with.
Yeah, and if you think about when you get a cut or a wound, you have to heal from the inside out.
True.
So taking care of your mental health is about healing from the inside out.
Thank you very much, Tanel Jones.
You're welcome.
Have a great evening, and I
Thank
guess
you.
so that means because the Lakers, I did I did turn the game off after halftime, so and I was pretty
Go
good. I
to
think I
bed.
probably woke up about 4:30 something, but sometimes your body you just. But yeah, because I was already down, so I went back after halftime just for a minute, and they were losing by 30, and I could just feel it. I said, I cut the TV off. I was like, I am not gonna sit here and watch the rest of this second half, and then I really be, oh my God, no, I'd have been calling
Yeah.
you Tanel. I need help. These Lakers are. Thank you, Tanel. Have a good
Yes,
night.
get some rest. You're welcome. Good night.
Thank you. All right. I love Tina. She is just awesome. She really is just a beautiful spirit, as you could see, and you could just feel her spirit come through camera. Reach out to her. Thank you for letting me be a part of your life. As always, God bless each and every one of you. God, most of all, thank you for letting me do the Geno Jones Show live Monday through Friday, 6:30 p.m. Eastern, 5:30 p.m. in Chicago, 3:30 p.m. out on the West Coast, out in Los Angeles, where the Lakers, if they don't get their act together tomorrow, it's going to be a wrap in the first round. LeBron, you can't go out like that, dude. Listen, you play for the Lakers now. You might have to go Kobe in his final game in the NBA. If you got to take 60 shots, then damn it, I need you to shoot 60 times. Do what you got to do to win the game. AD, I love you, brother. You from the shot. Just get healthy. And maybe, whatever LeBron has been doing, I know a lot of it is genetics. That $1.3 million, whatever he's spending on his body, I don't know that you're not. But you got a good example. Okay, so whatever template that LeBron is using, whatever hyperbaric chamber, his trainer, his diet, riding, but whatever he's doing, you need to do that. Okay, and I know it's kind of late now, but in the off season, do, because you have the face of the franchise. So let me just stop. All right, everybody. Please like, share, and subscribe to the Geno Jones channel, the Geno Jones Show. Once again, like, share, and subscribe, everybody. And if you'd like to be a sponsor, I'd be honored to have you as a sponsor right here on my show. I'd be honored to have you advertise on the show and my channel. And if you need the ultimate pitch man for your business, your product, your good, or your service, I am the king, like LeBron, the king. I know so he ain't played like no king. Well, I'm the king, the undisputed king, not the king of pitch men. Holla at your boy. Right here, leave me a message on my YouTube channel or Geno Jones Show. That's how you spell Geno Jones. Right there. Geno Jones Show at Gmail. I got you. I love you. I really do. Each and every one of you. Thank you so much for watching and liking, sharing the episodes, tagging them on social media, emailing them. Please keep it up. Support a Black business owner. For those who are, especially for those in the dominant culture and community, you want to reach out. How can I support African Americans and Black business owners? I'm right here. Holla at your boy. I'd love to have you as a business partner or sponsor or advertise. That's how we do that. Support Black businesses. You want to support Black Lives Matter, support Black businesses. All right, let me get out of here. Shout out to Markel Bailey, the official barber and hairstylist for the Geno Jones Show. Check him out on Instagram, IG, KLB Cuttin, KELBE. CUTTIN, Mr. Bruce Gage, the official wardrobe consultant and stylist for the Geno Jones Show. Check him out. You can just do a quick an Instagram search. He's on IG. Just search Bruce Gage, Gage. Mother, I love you more than life itself. I know you're watching. It was just a little tardy. We had a little technical difficulty. So we'll see you tomorrow, Thursday, another live edition of the Geno Jones Show right here, 6:30 p.m. Eastern. Until then, once again, thank you so much for watching and be blessed.
Subscribe and tune in to the next episode of the Geno Jones Show, exclusively right here on YouTube.